Hello, beautiful people. Today is 23rd of July. My name is Sahil and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Friends, today we'll see a quote from Eric Hoffer, who's an American philosopher. He says that compassion is an antitoxin of the soul. Where there is compassion, even the most poisonous impulses remain relatively harmless. Now, compassion happens to be the most foundational value of an ethical life. It refers to an attitude of feeling the suffering and misfortune of other people, and this value of compassion distinguishes between a person and a human being of values as well as ethics. And guys, even the compassion happens to be the most foundational value of for the civil servants, which has clearly been asked into the GS paper number 4, that is ethics. So friends, we can use this particular quote into the questions related on this particular dimension. Now, guys, the main question for yesterday. So, in the question, it says that what do you understand by the non personal data? Trace the recent developments in the regularization of non personal data along with the critical analysis. First of all, every day I say you that your answer should be divided in three parts: intro, body, and conclusion. Now, into the introduction, we can write that 21st century is characterized by the phenomena of data being the new oil, and therefore the data harvesting happens to be an important pillar into government policies around the world. Now, there could be two dimensions of data. One could be the personal data, and other could be the non-personal data. Now, this non-personal data is characterized by anonymity and has a potential to show the picture onto the general trends into the economy, society, or onto the national or international levels. So, guys, the data with respect to the weather patterns, traffic, etc., is the non-personal data. And opposed to personal data, it does not contains the sensitive information such as the credit card information, date of birth, etc. Now, personal data are protected by the privacy laws around the countries, whereas non-personal data has not been that much regulated. But seeing the potential, it is high time that the policies on non-personal data should also be leveraged. So, guys, in this particular direction, the government of India has also unveiled the draft onto the non-personal data management. So, guys, this is all about the non-personal data, and even we had wrote that government had announced the draft on this. Now, the next part we need to come into the critical analysis. Now, first we can say that, guys, a long ago BN Shri Krishna committee came, which suggested that India should formulate the data privacy bill, which has been floated but since has not been passed. And guys, before going with the protection of the personal data, which is more sensitive, government is leaping one step forward and going with the non-personal data. And for the non-personal data, government constituted Gopal Krishna committee, which had suggested the non-personal data draft. Now, first of all, friends, please remember that BN Shri Krishna is for the data privacy, and whereas Gopal Krishna is for the non-personal data. Both belong to the data. However, moving forward, guys, even into the non-personal data draft, there have been certain problem. First of all, into the matter of data principle, the definition of a community has not been written very clearly, and this will invite the disputes into the times to come when the matters of determining the rights and liabilities will arise. Then the second problem is that, guys, the data custodians have not been mentioned, that who will be they, whether they will be entirely private or they will be government. Third is that the data trustees have been mentioned, but what actually will be the relation between the data trustee, data principal, custodian, that thing has not been mentioned. So what has been done into the non-personal data bill or draft? Only scattered information has been given, but they have not been synchronized with each other. So, guys, still much more is needed to be done in this particular regard. So, guys, this was the entire thing which we already have discussed yesterday. I hope you are recalling it. So, guys, that's it. And now let's go to the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, let's take the overview of the entire paper first. By the way, friends, the PDF of all the news is provided onto our Telegram channel. You can download it from there. The link has been provided into the description. So, first news is with respect to the Rajasthan politics. You need not to follow the day by day day developments here. However, the issues with respect to the role of the speaker, we had already discussed into the yesterday's newspaper. Then guys, moving forward, here we can see the e-commerce sites and country of origin rule. We'll see what has happened here. Now guys, here India and China has said that they will not be using the unmanned aerial vehicles onto the LAC. So this is just a development, right, as the round of talks are going on. However, nothing substantial has happened. Then guys, moving forward, Punjab's law and Delhi's pollution has been mentioned. So we will see excellently that what is this entire issue and what is going on. Then guys, moving forward, so there is a no relevant news here as only the COVID and such news has been given. Then guys, moving forward, so here the National Green Tribunal has asked a question from the Oil India Limited that how or why they were drilling the oil into the national park in Assam, because you might be knowing that from so many days the Bagjan is burning because of a accident. But guys, nothing substantial has come out of this particular thing, only the question has been asked. However, moving forward guys, here we can see that not important news has been given. Now guys, we are into the editorial section, and this first editorial talks about the sequence of encounter of Raja Mansingh which occurred in 1985. So guys, these kind of details are not asked into our UPSC exam, so not important. Now guys, this particular article talks about the rationale of erecting the statue or toppling the statue of the people. But guys, with respect to the UPSC, the substantial substance has not been given. However, here we can see the setting up of High Court at Puducherry. We'll see all the issues associated here. Here, guys, the India and Bhutan issue has been discussed already. If you had seen yesterday, we had discussed this entire matter into the great detail. Then here, people in J&K are the citizen or subject. We'll be seeing that what has happened here. Then, guys, the Lincoln project and Gandhi project has been given here. So we'll see this thing. Then, guys, here transforming higher education. Some suggestions has been given. We'll see this thing. Now guys, here the earlier news have been continued and nothing important has been given. So on to the next page guys, here the US India Business Council has summit has been concluded. So on this respect, certain news attachments have been given. We'll see them what is there. Then moving forward guys, here also you can see that nothing important has been given. Here the ADR report has been mentioned and we'll see how we can use it into the exam. Then guys, showcase page not important for UPSC exam, but here one species of frog has been mentioned. We'll see that what is given. Then guys, moving forward onto the world page also, you can see that nothing important has been there, only the conflict, COVID, pandemic has been given, therefore not important. Then guys, here onto the business page, we'll see the consolidation of financial market. So we'll see how we can use it into the exam. Other corporate news are not important. Then guys, onto the last page here, the Madhubani has been mentioned. So we'll see that what has come. So that's it. And now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail. Now guys, starting up, so first news here we can see is with respect to the regularization of e-commerce websites such as Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, etc. So guys, here it has been said, the center has said the Delhi High Court that there is necessity that country of origin should be displayed onto these portals. Now guys, this entire issue started when a PIL was filed into the Delhi High Court by a lawyer, where it was stated that under the Legal Metrology Rules 2011, e-commerce portals are needed to display the country of origin alongside the details of the products. However, they are violating this particular norm. So guys, the Delhi High Court directed the center government that they should give their response as what is going on in this particular regard. So guys, what has happened? Now the central government has said that e-commerce are must required that they display the country of origin under the Legal Metrology Rules 2011, which has been framed under the Legal Metrology Act 2009. By the way guys, this particular act discusses about the standards of weights, measures, etc. Moreover, guys, if you remember, just 2 days back, we discussed the Consumer Protection Act 2019, which just recently came into the force. And there we had also seen that within a week, Consumer Protection Rule 2020 will also be coming in force. So, guys, the country of origin matter has also been discussed into the Consumer Protection Rule 2020. For the prelims, also, guys, remember that under both these places, the country of origin is discussed and now it is mandatory. Now, guys, just one additional point. See, there is also one problem here, that actual definition of country of origin is not very much clear. See, there could be certain case studies. For example, number one, for example, in India there is an assembler of mobile phones, but what he is doing, he is importing the display from the China, he is importing the keypad from the South Korea, then suppose he is importing the battery from the Indonesia, and finally the mobile phone is assembled into India. Now the question comes, what is the country of origin in this case? Is it India, or is it any one of the country from where the major component has been imported? Now case number 2, suppose in South Korea one particular toy was manufactured entirely there in South Korea, then that particular toy was imported by China, and then China exported that particular toy to the India. So who will be the country of origin? Will it be the China, or will it be the South Korea? So guys, these nitty-gritties are not very much clear, due to which also the dispute with respect to the actual country of origin might will also be coming. So these things also need to be very much clarified. So guys, that's all on to this entire issue. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, this particular news item mentions the problem of winter pollution in Delhi and what role is the stubble burning in Punjab playing in this. Now, before going into the actual news, we'll look into certain background information. Friends, we know that the stubble burning or burning of the leftover crop residue leads to the winter pollution around the month of November and December in Delhi. Now, guys, here the Punjab is said to play an important role because the large number of stubble burning that is carried in Punjab. Now, first of all, what is the basic reason that stubble burning is carried here? So there could be certain things. Now, guys, October November is the time when the rabi crops such as wheat are to be sown. But guys, there is one issue that just before the sowing of the rabi crop, the fields are occupied by the crops such as paddy. Now, guys, this paddy will be harvested, and after the harvesting only we can sow the new crop. And there is a very limited time window in within which the crops are to be sown. Now, guys, when the paddy will be harvested, all the leftover, there could be only two options. It could be manually be removed, or it could be burnt. But removing them manually will be taking a lot of time as well as effort. So what farmers do, farmers simply burn so that they can get rid of the stubble in no time and can successfully sow the winter crop into the time window. Now, friends, we will leave this matter here and we will discuss one more matter. See, there is the Punjab water policy which was amended in 2009. Now, this policy came to conserve the groundwater in Punjab. So, according to this policy, it has been said that the paddy which is being grown in Punjab consumes a lot of groundwater. So, what we can do, we can mandate that the sowing of a paddy should be carried only into the late June, so that by this particular time the monsoon would have kicked in and the water from the rain could be used for the flooding of the fields, and in this way the groundwater will not be extracted. But guys, as the sowing got delayed up to the month of June, again the harvesting will also be delayed, and now because of such delay there will be even more tighter window within which the new rabi crops can be planted. And guys, because of this paucity of time, they have no option but just to burn the paddy crop. Moreover, guys, as we reach near the month of November, October, and this is also the time when the Diwali kicks in, and the pollution from the Diwali cracker burning, the pollution from the stubble burning, all of this accumulated together and a severe pollution condition is created. And on the top of it, there is not coinciding of the mega polluting events. Rather, this entire scenario shifts around the month of winter. And guys, we know that in winter, due to the geographical phenomena, the pollution even enhances further. And if you don't know that why into the winter pollution becomes a problem, just in 1 minute we'll revise this also. Suppose this is the land, and during the time of summer the land is very much heated, and as the land will be heated, the wind which is in contact or into the vicinity of land, it will also be heated, and into the course of heating it will become light and will go above, and the cool air will sink down. And due to this continuous movement, the pollutants will not be accumulated near the land and they will be scattered. But guys, into the winter, this phenomena doesn't exist. What happens as the land will become cool? The air surrounding the land or air packet near the land, this air packet will also become cool, and as it will be cool, it will also be dense and heavy. Therefore, there will be no upward movement of this wind packet. And guys, as we know that from so many of the sources, the pollutants are being added, so the concentration of air here becomes very bad and the pollution increases. So guys, this is the entire story behind the stubble warning and winter pollution. Now coming to the news item, so into the news item it has been said that the Punjab water law which we had discussed, it doesn't plays that much role here. They had just given a mathematical modeling that even before the amendment and after the amendment there was no substantial change. However guys, that thing has to be peer reviewed, this that thing has to be further ascertained by the fellow scientist community. So into that particular regard, right now we can't say whether the report is right or wrong. But guys, the points which I have given you here, all these points you need to keep in your mind with respect to our examination. So guys, that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now guys, if you remember, just a month ago, the Lonar Lake, which has been created by the meteorite impact, its water turned pink. And then there were investigations as what could be the reasons due to which the water would have turned the pink. So guys, during the initial investigations, it was being assumed that it could have been turned pink because of the Donalela algae. But guys, after the detailed investigation of the water, it has been found that a large colony of the Haloarchaea or halophilic archaea or just simply the halobacteria has been found, and these halobacteria could be the reason for turning the water pink. So all of this has been ascertained, and even if we guys take the name halo, so halo means relating to salt. So these bacteria are found into the regions where the concentration of salt is very high, and as the Lonar Lake inherently is saline, and due to the less rain and enhanced evaporation, the concentration of salt has been increased even too much into the past few days, due to which the colonies of this halobacteria increased and they turned the water pink. Now guys, if you remember, I had already taken a discussion on to the turning of water pink, and there also I have told you that there could be the two reason. One, I told you that it could be the halobacteria, and other I told you that it could be the Donalilla algae. But now it has been ascertained that it is due to the majority of the halobacteria or the haloarchaea. So guys, that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now friends, we are into the editorial section, and this particular editorial talks about the need of creating a high court for Puducherry. So friends, formally Puducherry was merged with the India in 1962, and after that the Madras High Court became the court over the Puducherry. But since then there have been the demands that there should be a separate court for the Puducherry. And guys, in even in 2017, the Legislative Assembly of Puducherry passed a resolution that a separate high court for the Puducherry should be established. Now guys, we will be seeing the reasons that why it should be the case. Now first of all guys, the constitution do make a provision for the common high court for two or more states, but it has also been said into the constitution that the administrative expenses will be shared by the state which have the principal seat of the high court. Now, into the case of Puducherry, the high court is of the Madras and the principal seat is in Tamil Nadu. but still the expenses are very much exorbitant and they are to be shared by the Puducherry, which poses a burden onto the Puducherry's economic resources. Moreover, guys, the population of Puducherry is not that much that they should share the burden of the Madras High Court, who was made for a very big population of the Tamil Nadu. Then after that, guys, see, there was a judgment which we will discuss here, that was the All India Judges Association and Others versus Union of India. In this particular judgment, it was said that judicial strength in India right now is around 10.5 to 13 judges per million of population, but it should be enhanced to at least 50 judges per million. And the same thing was also said by the Law Commission in its 245th report, which talks about creating the additional judicial manpower. But guys, till now that thing has not been fulfilled, and even of 2016 there are only 12 judges per million population. So guys, we need to create the additional manpower in need to reduce the pendency of the courts, and therefore creating a new court such as the Puducherry High Court will also be helping in this particular regard. After that, friends, see, there are smaller states such as the Sikkim, Manipur and Goa, and guys, they all have their separate high courts. Moreover, friends, the number of cases which were filed in 2010 into the Puducherry, they were four times higher than the cases of all these courts put combined. So when they have the high court, why the logic is not there to make a high court for the Puducherry? Then guys, next reason is that, see, the constitutional guarantees are provided to every citizens. And guys, into the Swapnil Tripathi judgment of 2018, Supreme Court had said that under Article number 21, right to access justice has been very clearly given. Now, guys, see, when the people of Puducherry are traveling to the Madurai or to the Chennai for their court hearings, then guys, the traveling time, the expenditure is in a way snatching their right to access justice, and therefore by building a high court for Puducherry will uphold the constitutional guarantees. Moreover, as judiciary is the wing to check the executive and legislature, it will also be helping in bringing the accountability of the Puducherry's government. And then guys, fifth reason that we can see here is that, see, if a separate high court will be made for Puducherry, it will boost the statehood demand, which is a very good thing in the sync of the federalism that India follows. Now, see guys, there is article number 239A into the constitution, which says that the union territories can have their can have their legislative assembly as well as can have their council of minister. Originally, there were seven states which were there into the article 239A, but now there have all only been Puducherry, and it has been said that now it is a time that Puducherry should also be elevated to the statehood. So in that particular direction also, creating a separate high court will be helping. Further guys, see, there could also be one more thing, that there is a proposal which has been made that what we can do, we can also make an additional bench of the Madras High Court into the Puducherry. It will serve the same purpose, but no, it will not serve the same purpose because of two things. Number one, guys, again, the exorbitant expenditure will be shared by the Puducherry, which will be the problem. Second, guys, is that the members of the judiciary itself, they are apprehensive in establishing a separate bench, because then they had to commute at three locations, at Madurai, at Chennai, and then it will be the Puducherry. And guys, therefore there could be the backlash. So therefore only the demand of establishing a new high court will be working in this particular direction. So guys, this is the entire issues involved in creating the separate high court for the Puducherry. There could be a question in GS paper number 2 on to the merit. So guys, many of these arguments could be used in any of the state, not only into the Puducherry. So that's it guys, and now we'll move to next. Now guys, this particular article talks about the Lincoln project and how onto that line we can start the Gandhi project in India. Now guys, first of all, we need to be very selective into this particular article because we don't need to politicize our topic. See guys, right now into the America, you know that Donald Trump is the ruling president who hails from the Republican Party. Now, many of his policies have been criticized as they convey the women disregard or they are centered against the racial injustice. Moreover, guys, the role of armed forces into certain conflict zones have also been questioned during the time of Trump, and even his policies such as pulling out from the Paris Climate Agreement, stopping the funding from the WHO, and all these kind of thing has been very much controversial. So within the Republican Party, there have been people who are angry with the Trump's policy, and therefore, in response, the Lincoln Project has been started by certain Republicans, and their aim is to defeat of Trumpism at the ballot box. So the word Trumpism means that they are not only against the president, but they are against the cult following that is coming with the Donald Trump, and they want to question the issues, the policies onto the rational grounds. And in response, Donald Trump has outrightly criticized the Lincoln Project and had retweeted against them, but it has only popularized the Lincoln Project, and they have emerged even more popular into the USA. So, guys, a kind of an alternative or a kind of a antithesis to Trump has been started by their own political party. So, guys, it is said that now it is high time that in India also we start a Gandhi project onto the lines of the Lincoln project. Now, guys, the hallmark of a matured democracy is not the image worship or leader worship. Rather, it is the questioning a character. Rather, it is the holding leader accountable to their policies. Now, in 2014 and 2019, the ruling government party came on into the power onto the pretext of bringing growth, removing unemployment, and removing the inequality which is there into the society. But it has been seen that unemployment, economic growth, and all the things are at the abysmal low level, and there the media is not present in questioning these things. Secondly, the opposition is also too much weak. Therefore, there is a need of a Gandhi project by the leaders who have questioned the abilities of the ruling government. And guys, people also need to participate, and the theory of alternative truths should be discarded for the factual truths. Question should be asked onto the developmental efforts. Question should be asked onto the economic policies, diplomatic policies, the policies with Nepal, China, and all these kind of parameters. So, friends, this could be a solution against the majoritarianism. So, if a question on the politics of majoritarianism comes, we can give a reference. However, we need to be very careful. Otherwise, we might end up politicizing the issue, which is not appreciated into the UPSC. So, guys, that's all we'll be looking into this regard. And now we'll move to next. Now, guys, this particular article talks about how we could use the present time as an opportunity to reform the education sector. So, into the past few days, we had seen that there is a very greatened anxiety with respect to the accessibility of education. The media, such as the online way of education, the televised education, are being questioned, and everybody is tensed. But, guys, this could be a time where we could find an opportunity. So, first of all, it has been said that there are the three ideal learning outcomes why we go to the college. There are three reasons. First of all, by higher education, a discipline specific relevant knowledge can be given to a person. For example, if someone is interested in history, he can know about history. If somebody is interested in geography, he can know about geography. Second, the education gives us the skill for the job or the employment which a person might be needing into the times to come. And the third is the education plays a very important role as it prepares the individual as how they can shape the society and the world into the times to come, how constructive role they can play. But if we see the actual outcomes of our education system, then we know that our education system has failed to perform the results on all these parameters. And particularly when the question of giving the real life skill comes, it has failed miserably. Guys, leaving apart the top education institutions such as the IITs, IIMs, we see that the majority of institutions are just becoming the centers to give the degree, and even the brightest of the brightest student find a disconnect between the things that they have learned into the classroom and the skill set that is required into the real world. And guys, the industries need to spend extra in terms of time as well as resources to retrain the students for the real world operations. And now, the root cause of this entire problem is the outdated syllabus which is being taught into the Indian universities and colleges. So, guys, syllabus is centered into the rote learning or the memorization of facts, and in a race to get more and more marks. But we know that these marks will not be matter when a student has to compete into the real world. But still, guys, the same thing is going on. So it has been said that now a fundamental reform is needed into the education system, where the majority of emphasis of education should be onto the industrial internship, where a student will learn the real world requirements, and the modest focus should be given onto the classroom teaching, where only the core concepts should be taught, and for these core concepts the online medium can work. Moreover, guys, even for the exams, we can go for the home proctored open book test, as it has been started by the Delhi University. And along with them, there should be the practical assignments, field trainings, industrial visits, where the student will learn the actual requirement of the present industry. So, friends, in this particular way, we can reform our entire education system to reflect the present needs of the industrial society. So, guys, that's it. And now we'll move to next. Now, guys, this particular article is criticizing the internet shutdown in Jammu and Kashmir, but it has sticked only on one point, that is the Supreme Court judgment. However, guys, we had just on 17th July at this particular timestamp has traced the internet shutdown from 2019 August to the 2020, and in between we have discussed all the Supreme Court judgment and even the recent decision to form the panel on J&K shutdown. So, guys, please refer to this particular discussion. It will give you the much better clarity onto the entire issue. So, guys, that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, friends, all of these three news are connected with each other because these are the excerpts which were given by the different leaders at the US India Business Council Summit. Now, before going into the news, if you remember just yesterday, I had told you that right now the India and USA are very much near to conclude the early harvest or the preferential trade agreement or a limited trade agreement between both the countries, with which the economic trade will be enhanced. Further, guys, after that thing, onto the grounds of finding synergy between India and USA, the US India Business Council has been concluded. Here, the Prime Minister has said that the US should come and invest in India because India is the land of possibilities. India is having the most liberalized regime. Moreover, guys, here certain sectors have been talked about where the investment is being asked. So they have been asked to invest into the healthcare, infrastructure, defense, energy, farm and insurance sectors, where the recently concluded reforms of government such as the increased competitiveness, transparency, digitization, innovation, policy stability will be helping them. After that, guys, the USA's Secretary of State has asked India that India and USA should work together against the China. Into the past few days, the unilateralism of China has been unprecedented, and this can be seen into the clashes of PLA into the LAC sector, into the South China Sea, onto the Hong Kong, etc. So, therefore, USA has asked India that they should come together in an alliance to teach a lesson to the China. But guys, because of this particular thing, the external affair minister S. Shankar is not happy. He says that USA, you need to grow up and you need to go beyond alliances. He said that USA should learn that now the world is multipolar, and yes, there are the power contenders, and USA needs to learn as how to adjust with the new realities. It has been said that USA needs to move away from the alliances which has been the foreign policy of USA into the past two generations. And with respect to the assertive China, it has been said that India is steadfast in countering any threat to their security sovereignty, as well as it is also committed to preserve the maritime security, counter terrorism, connectivity, and will also fight with the corona pandemic. But still the alliances are not the favorable route with which India wants to go, and USA also needs to go beyond that particular thing. Moreover, guys, there are certain converging points also. It has been said that into the innovation and technology, both the countries should come in partnership and should invest in each other's capabilities. So that's it, and now we'll move to next. Now, friends, in GS paper number 2, there could be a question onto the criminalization of politics or the crime politics nexus. And there, in order to substantiate our answer, we can give the data from the ADR analysis. ADR stands for the Association for Democratic Reforms, and it happens to be a very prestigious organization. Now, guys, according to the ADR, 24% of the Rajya Sabha members are facing the criminal cases, and 89% of them have the declared assets above rupees 1 crore. However, further we don't need to go as from which political party how many criminal MPs are there, because then it will lead to a little bit of politicization. So guys, just if a question comes, please use the data from the ADR. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, here, just as a reform into the capital market, you can use this news item as a reference, though no policy or scheme or any regularization has came out of this, but still it is a suggestion, we can use it. So guys, the SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India chief, has said that we have the financial market at two levels. So guys, financial market is that where the money instruments are bought or they are traded. One is the corporate financial market, and other is the government bond or the government securities market, and both are separate. But it has been said that such artificial distinction is not needed into the present times. Rather, what is to be done, there should be unified market for the corporate bond as well as for the government bond. And into the present time, there have been large number of demat accounts which have been opened. Guys, a demat account or the dematerialized account is one which a person uses for buying and selling of the shares, securities, bonds, etc. So, as a large number of demat account have been opened, it means that now more people are interested in investing money into the financial market. And there, if they get the exposure of the government securities or government bond, they can start very good, because these securities are risk free, and from here a person can start his exposure towards other diversified markets also, such as the corporate bonds, securities, shares, etc. So guys, just as a suggestion onto the money market front, just remember this into your mind. So that's it. However, no government notification on such line has come. That's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, friends, here, this is an article from the showcase page where a person is reciting his story with the encounter of a frog. Now, here, the species of the Indian bullfrog has been mentioned, which has been given the status of least concern onto the IUCN red list. Now, guys, this particular Indian bullfrog is the most abundant into the South and Southeast Asia, and this particular frog has been listed into the schedule number 4 into the Wildlife Protection Act, and is found nearly into the entire of the Indian subcontinent during the season of the rains. However, apart from this, guys, the story of a person has been given, not important for our exam. Now, guys, the Madhubani paintings have been mentioned here because they are now being painted onto the masks. Now, guys, in UPSC exam, the question onto the paintings have been asked. Now, these Madhubani paintings, they are painted by the artist residing into the Mithila region of the North India. Further, guys, the subject of these Madhubani paintings are the people which are shown into the natural surroundings, as well as the depictions of the deities, the depictions of the ancient epics, as well as the objects such as sun, moon, plants are also painted. Further, The Madhubani painting has also been given the GI tag, so it is very important. Please keep in your mind. Further, guys, originally these Madhubani paintings were done directly onto the wall, so they were the kind of the murals also. But now they are done onto the secondary canvas also, such as the cloth as well as onto the handmade paper. And guys, the distinct feature of these paintings is this, that they use the natural colors which are derived from the plants. So guys, a large number of people are the artists into the Madhubani, but as due to the lockdown, the demand for the paintings is less, so they are being painted onto the masks. So guys, this is all about the today's newspaper, and now we'll go to the question section. Friends, please pause the video and try to answer the question. So the first question is with respect to the Global Fund for AIDS, TB and Malaria. Please identify the correct code. Now guys, question number 3 is with respect to the meta materials. Please identify the right code. Question number 3 is with respect to the NSS 2. Please identify the correct code. Now question number 4 is with respect to the polity. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Now guys, today's main question is from GS paper number 2 education, and it is a 10 marker question. So question says that the higher education system has witnessed an improvement in terms of the gross enrollment ratio, but fraught with numerous challenges, suggest a reform to achieve the ideas of learning outcomes of higher education. Now friends, into this particular question, challenge is not content because you will be having a lot of content. Rather, the challenge is writing that content into the 10 marks. So guys, write it, try to summarize it into the given space and given marks, and tomorrow we will discuss the framework for this answer. So that's it guys. I hope you are liking our initiative. Thank you so much.